Yeah, and I wanted to talk about a story today that I know that many people need to probably know. And so back around 1984, I had started a small studio in my apartment. Okay, because I wanted to get busy and move into a world where I could do music every day. So I had a studio in my apartment. I had a keyboard. I had a drum machine, a TR 707, and I had a keyboard. I think it was like a Yamaha M1, and then I also had my bass guitar. I played bass, and then I had an 8-track recorder from Fostex. That was great. Then I had like 4 cassette players. I could make copies of the demos for people. So that was cool. And I had ad. I had this ad in the Village Voice, which was a newspaper that was popular back then. So that creative people would put ads in the back, artists or studios or musicians, and you could place an ad back there for not so much money, and then bam, you're in. So that was great. I did that. So when I did that, I got phone calls. I'm sitting there one day, of course, and I get a phone call from this guy in Boston. This guy in Boston wants to come down. So this has got to be roughly around 1986 at this point. And so I am sitting there going like, okay, no problem. How can I help you? Of course. But he wants to be a rap star, right? Got this? He wants to do rap music. He wants to get into business. He wants to get signed to a contract. He wants to do the thing. And we're talking on the phone and we're pretty much communicating. It's pretty cool. It's pretty easy to talk with him. Easy guy to get along with on the phone, which most people are, but he was aware of he needed to know more and ask me questions. So then I told him how to get down here and all this kind of stuff. He was in Boston, got me. He was in Boston because in Boston is where he lived, his family was everything else, but he did a little show on the radio at night at some sort of college. And that show was called Gangstar. And so, okay, sounds cool. So then, I don't know who Gangstar is. What? So anyway, so he comes down there. I never heard the show. And he comes down to New York City. He shows up like about 3 weeks later in New York City. It's like, oh, the guy came down. And so, okay, he's serious. He comes down and he wants to get busy. I meet the guy's name is, what was his name again? Keith Elam. But he didn't just come down. He moved to New York City. He got an apartment. When he came down, he saw me first, which is weird. Now, he got a job in a library to do research about the labels and about music biz to get his research correct. So he moves to New York and he does the perfect right thing he's supposed to do. He's focusing on what he's going to do. He's not interfering with like hanging out, smoking weed. He doesn't do that stuff. He's here in New York to get famous. It's just crazy. And I liked it because he was like, you don't meet people like that all the time. Usually come and do a session. I got to go to work tomorrow. But it was really cool. He wants to get in the biz. So we're sitting there going over tracks. I'm making beats up. I made the demos for the guy. And it worked out. Now, Keith Elam is actually Gangstar from the group with DJ Premier. So Keith Elam is in this group, DJ Premier, and they became famous. But I knew Keith before he was actually famous through this whole story I'm telling you about. So anyway, what happens is that we're making the demo sound pretty good. We go to another studio. I think it's called 1212. We get there, we add some parts, and we come back to my place. We do some more stuff, and we're making things work. And it sounds pretty good. It's not super dope, but it's like it's a demo. This is a demonstration of how this guy can rap and do his thing. Now this story is so cool because if you want to make it in the record business and you're in a town where they can't provide you with that arena where everything is there. You can go to here, go to there, go to the label, go here to rehearse, go here to finish studio, no rap studio, that kind of thing. You're in a world of nowhere, right? So really, if you want to make it in the business and you don't have that in your area where you live, you need to leave if you're serious about getting in the business. That's very important. You got to be serious about that. So anyway, back to the story. So he gets there, we're doing stuff, demo's done, and now we're going to make up stuff. And this is really cool. So what Keith and I came up with this idea of getting signed, we were talking about it, and hanging out after the session. So look, so the idea is this, that he was good at like drawing stuff out. And so he would do that and he made the Gangstar logo. And so what he did then was that he got this image he made up, and I had some images I had from my computer and stuff, and said, let's try it, how to printer and stuff. And he got that, and then he went to a library and got a library printer. And so he got the papers, two papers like this, and folded it up so it fit inside of a cassette. That's great. And then put a cassette, put the number of songs on there. That's kind of cool too. And then would actually close it up and give the cassette away, right? I'm saying, well, look, that's cool. But to hit a label up, you're going to have to be clever than that, more clever than that. You're going to be like real. So I had this idea, look, if you get a gift from somebody, it's like really special. So I had this idea. We're going to take the demos and put them in gift wrap boxes. We're going to gift wrap these boxes up. We're going to throw some potpourri in there, right? Little like smelling scent stuff in that box. And then we're going to have a card for who to contact about this demo. But you're not going to know it's a demo. So we get the boxes together. We put all the cassettes in boxes. It's got to be like freaking 50 cassettes. And so being who I am, kind of like that focused guy, I actually have a list of every A&R guy in New York City and who's in California at the top labels. That's important to know. I even have a list of every single VJ or DJ who's actually on the radio. That's important to know also, because in that year, that time, you had to know this stuff before you got started. And the best thing to do is know all these people, whether it's going to be an A&R guy. Who's the lawyer for Beyonce, right? Like, who is that lawyer? You want to know who these guys are, because people don't do it by themselves. They got someone else in the background that they trust. And you want to find that out. So anyway, I got the information. We got the stuff together. We sent all the stuff out. And all of a sudden, someone contacts us. Well, contacts him, actually, because there's cards in there. And then they talk about it. They do it. And Guru gets signed to a label. Now, the label was a small freaking label, but it didn't matter. You have to get started somewhere and sign to a label with a contract that's going to be favorable. Now, another thing about Guru or Keith Elam is that, number one, Keith's father is a judge. His sister is a lawyer. His brother is a public advocate. Okay, these people aren't poor and they're not stupid. And so he can get a lawyer. His sister does a really great working contract, so that was no problem. So they worked the deal out. He's only there for a little bit, to get the thing going on. And he ends up putting a record out, and it gets to be in the stores in Kmart. Now, Kmart's old, like what Walmart was, but Kmart was competing more heavy back then. But it was amazing. He got in the store. But that was cool. The record came out. But it really happened when all of a sudden the label meets Premier, and Premier and him get together, and the rest is history. But it doesn't happen until Guru actually calls me up on the phone, trusts what I can do, comes down and does the demos, and starts germinating the whole idea into becoming this one seed to grow this whole plant of Gang Starr.